Oh. Oh. Shri Krishna is sharing a set of teachings to gauge whether we have completed contemplation. This begins in verse 18. Yada viniyatam chittam. In your commentary, the word perfectly controlled is used. We have been using the word directed, the one who is directing their mind. That means they have completed contemplation. Extending this, all of us need to learn how to compartmentalize our minds, our thoughts. Everyone is not going to like you. Everyone is not going to like what you do. And if you keep thinking about that, then you are not directing your mind. Your mind is being controlled. Train yourself in compartmentalizing. We have to forget that that happened, that this person said this. By forgetting, we forge ahead. Atmanyevavatishtate. One whose only purpose is the spirit, is Atman. Extending this further, I've shared with all of you many times, to reduce labeling. This is good food, that is bad food. I like this person, I dislike this person. The reduction in labels causes the reduction in likes, which causes a reduction in limits. Now that may be abstract for us. A limit is that which you identify with, such as, I dislike citizens of this country. Why? Because I identify as a citizen of this country. So here, reduction of limits means reduction of identifications. That I'm this citizen, that I'm this gender, that I'm this personality type. Less labels, less likes, less identifications. Then it becomes natural to identify with the spirit. Nispraha sarva kamebhyaha. And one is free from desires and the need to follow through on those desires. I've asked all of you to be reflective on desires being defective. Our desires are supposed to make us complete, but it's as if every desire we complete makes us feel more incomplete. How defective is that? You're supposed to be my friend, but all you do is make me feel smaller. That's not a friendship then, correct? So we can't be friends with desires. Yukta iti uchyate tada. If this describes you, then you have completed yoga. Sharing this in a framework because this will lead into the next verse. If you can visualize a journey from outside in, the beginning of this journey, this is for the mind, it is karma yoga. As you continue this journey within, we go from the mind to the intellect, from karma yoga to jnana yoga. And as we continue within, from the intellect to the ego, jnana yoga to dhyana yoga. And when one is identified with the Atma, the core, the center, the spirit, yoga is not needed. Karma, jnana, dhyana, yoga is not needed because one is yukta. So if this describes you, then you have completed contemplation. A similar thought shared in verse 19, a beautiful visual. Yatha dipo nivatastaha nengate sopama smrita yogino yatta chittasya yunjato yogamatmanaha. Taking the first line, yatha, okay? Sopama smrita, we are remembering a simile, a visualization. What's contained in this? Visualize a room. Refine this room to being a room with no wind. Refine this further for there to be a diya or a lamp there. Can you see that? Room, no wind, a lamp. Deepa means lamp. Nivatastaha, a lamp in a room with no wind. And what is this lamp doing? Na ingate. It is not flickering. That lamp, that flame, it is solid. Okay. Now, what does this mean for us as contemplators? The room is karma yoga. The room is karma yoga. The lamp, I'm talking about a physical lamp, not a switch lamp. I turned it on. That lamp is jnana yoga. I'm sorry. The windlessness is jnana yoga. The lamp is dhyana yoga. The room is karma yoga. The windlessness is jnana yoga. And the lamp is dhyana yoga. Adding more details. The room or karma yoga, this is for the mind to feel clarity. When a mind is clear, it becomes quiet. That's what the room is. Right now, I hope you're in a quiet room. The windlessness, this relates to jnana yoga. This is the sense of conviction. The intellect is convinced it will not find joy outside of itself. So it's convinced to become more inward looking. And the flame, which is dhyana yoga, is the sense of confidence. The intellect that is convinced is now deepening to become confident that I am not the intellect, that I am not the ego, that I am the spirit. Clarity triggers conviction, conviction triggers confidence. This flame that is solid is further compared to the Brahmakara vritti. Vritti means thought. Brahmakara means that which is of the form of infinity. A thought that is leading me to infinity. This thought is technically described as aham Brahma asmi. Aham, I, this sense of I. Asmi, what is it? Brahma, infinity. That this sense of I is not an identification with the equipments and the experiences and entities, rather, this I is infinity. How should the flame be? Solid. Na ingate. We do this with sleep. First, you make a decision that you want to sleep. Yes? That decision deepens, goes from the intellect to the ego. You start to identify with sleep. You become sleepy, yes? The body becomes slower, the mind becomes slower, the intellect becomes slower. And then finally, when you're sleeping, what happens to that decision, that identification? It's all sublimated. Now you are sleeping. You don't have to think it. You don't have to decide it. You don't have to identify with it. You are sleeping. Now to practice the same with infinity. It's the same process. We're good at this. We just have to change the subject. Yoginaha yatta chittasya. This whole description is like the inner world of a yogi. Yunjato yogam atmanaha. This inner world is one with the spirit. So not an ordinary inner world, an extraordinary one. Adding a few more insights to the second line. When we look at a flame, and you see the top of that flame, it does flicker. It doesn't matter how windless the room is, the flame keeps going up and down. It's moving so fast, it appears solid, but it is not solid. This is a beautiful comparison because the mind is the same way. Our mind is designed. The fabric of the mind is to only have one thought at a time. When you think that you're having multiple thoughts, you are not. You have been lied to, you're lying to yourself. It is only that the mind is moving so fast. It's like I can have multiple thoughts, but it's only one thought at a time. When you're on a highway and you see a car's rim, there's spokes there, correct? But if it's moving so fast, it looks like there's not spokes. So what is the message? Unitas. So that finally our unitasking is towards aham Brahma asmi. Pujaswami Tejo Mayananda shared, being an extrovert. And he shared this with us in 2006. 16 years ago, what would being an extrovert be described as 16 years later? Being distracted. Distraction keeps growing and growing and growing. It requires no special effort to be an extrovert, to be distracted. Just think of your senses. Can your eyes see inside of you? Can your tongue taste inside of you? This is all created extrovert. It requires no special personality to become an extrovert. It does require special effort, an extraordinary personality to become an introvert, to become inward looking, so that the mind is not scattered, but directed. When we meet tomorrow, I'm going to share a framework with you about all of the 10 verses we've covered thus far. There are 23 verses on contemplation. We've now completed 10, and we'll share a framework to remember all of this easily so that we can practice all of this. We don't believe in Saturdays. We don't believe in holidays. We forge forward. 2 years ago, we met for Meaningful Mornings for the first time. It was March 19th, 2020. Aren't we forging ahead? Meaningful Mornings to me is very much like one of the most important teachings of Acharya Shankara, where he begins with satsangatve, that being in a community, and then he shares many dots, and the ends is muktihi, makes one feel free. And that's exactly what the subject matter of Meaningful Mornings has been, no? From satsang, now what are we focusing on? Being free, independently joyous. We will complete chapter 6 on Hanuman Jayanti, which is April 16th. Then, for an entire week, we will follow the same format, only I won't teach verses. I will answer your questions. So any questions you have, any challenges you're feeling in your practice, make sure you write that down. On April 24th, we will begin organizing our one with one. You are one, I am one, we will be one with one. For any personal guidance about Bhagavad Gita or life that is needed, you can ask for that time. Yesterday I shared the dates incorrectly. I'm sharing them correctly now. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Oh. 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 Identify with the lifestyle by being grateful. Be grateful for what you have. With one's lifestyle pure, identify with the body. Make the body contemplative by relaxing the body. With the body calm, identify with the breath. Make the breath contemplative by enjoying breathing. With the breath natural, identify with the mind. Identify with every thought that is flowing through the mind. Search out how a thought begins. Ride that thought. What is it about? What is a thought made of? Follow that thought to the end. contemplate, identify with any and every thought that is flowing through the mind. Feel the extreme quantity of thoughts flowing through the mind. Be clear about how extrovert, how distracted the mind is. Feel the quality of the thoughts flowing through the mind. What are you thinking about? Why are you thinking about this? Thoughts tend to be about the equipment that is the body, the experiences of the equipment that is pleasure, the entity that facilitates this experience of the equipment, that is food and movies and compliments and money. When we are intensely, acutely, honestly aware of the condition of this equipment that is the mind, then Shri Krishna's teachings about a room with no wind and a lamp become more accessible, become more applicable. Shanti, Shanti. Shanti.